What's going on, everyone? Jaronism here with you again with another video. This time I'll be debunking the debunker. Press Reset Radio, I guess, tried to debunk the flat earth by basically ponying up and sitting on the laps of scientists and loving every word that came out of their mouths. I thought his attempt was extremely poor, and so I wanted to point out some areas that were heavy in a lack of understanding as far as what is even going on in the sphere versus flat earth debate. So Press Reset Radio should have and could have easily pressed reset at any point during his closed-minded attempt to basically debunk the flat earth while trying to look smart by basically saying, why are we even talking about this? Because smart men have already told me all the answers. So one thought that did keep popping into my mind throughout this entire preparation of making this video was something you've heard me say many times before.
I haven't got time for this Mickey Mouse bullshit!
So basically I'll let his video play and then I will pop in when I see fit and explain where he is drastically and terribly incorrect. Let's get started.
What's up, everyone? Press Reset Earth here. So today I'm going to talk about the flat earth theory. Yes, it's been gaining popularity and a lot of momentum the past 6 months or so. And a lot of people are buying into this. And look, I've looked into the flat earth theory. There's different models. But I've also looked into the other side of it, the more conventional globe theory.
Now hold on, right off the bat, what do you mean you've also looked into it, the more conventional globe earth theory? Do you think that none of us went to school? None of us learned what you think is the truth? This is the no thinking, sit back and watch Ren and Stimpy technique.
And that seems to make the most sense to me. And no, I'm not going to show you the fake CGI NASA photos. No, I'm not going to, cite NASA in any way, shape, or form, or even any of these major institutions that are trying to control the scientific progress of humanity. Instead, these are things that you can actually test on your own in many cases. And also, a lot of this is also just sort of common sense knowledge.
I know of someone who's trying to control the scientific progress of humanity. I'm not going to tell you who, but I just don't get what you're doing. Does science really need you as a cheerleader? And who says what is and what isn't common sense? You? I think not, Ren.
You stupid idiot!
That, it is something that you can measure quite often on your own, once again. Now, the first little scientific proof I want to get into here is the fact that the moon actually is inverted depending on which hemisphere of the Earth you're on. So if you're in the southern hemisphere as compared to the northern hemisphere, the moon is going to appear differently because you're looking at it from two different angles. You understand what I'm saying? Because the Earth is indeed a globe.
Oh, I understand what you're saying. Because the Earth is indeed a globe. The fact that it's a globe. I get it. See, I always get confused. I always think there's other way to look at things. Like you could just pop the flat Earth model in there, put two people on the Earth, and realize that both of them, if they're facing each other, were looking at the moon. The top for one would be the bottom for the other. I don't know.
This wouldn't work in a flat Earth model. There is no way to explain this in the flat Earth model.
And I'll say it again. I will repeat that there is no way to explain this in a flat Earth model. It's 100% proof.
And this isn't something that you need to consult NASA to test for yourself. In fact, we have global communication now, and this is something that we can actually test. If somebody in the southern hemisphere was talking or video chatting with somebody in the northern hemisphere, they could actually look at the moon at the same time and test this. Okay, this is irrefutable proof that we are on a globe structure looking at the moon.
Can somebody get the dictionary, please? Dictionary. I need to look up what irrefutable proof means because maybe I'm confused. I guess we're on some sort of globe structure and this has been proven. It might.
Now, another thing that we can do to indeed at least logically assume that we're on a globe structure is to just go out, buy yourself a telescope. Any amateur astronomer can do this. And just look at the planets, okay? And you can see that they are indeed spherical. And Some of them even have moons orbiting them. And you can see this with your own eyes in a telescope, in a halfway decent telescope that you can buy online.
Guys, this guy's not lying. You can see these grainy circular objects in the night sky, the ones that NASA pretends are actual physical planets. You just need a special device. It's only about $1,000, cheap. It's called a telescope. It's an instrument that aids in the observation of remote objects by collecting electromagnetic radiation, such as visible light. And the first known practical telescope was invented in the Netherlands at the beginning of the 17th century, and it uses glass lenses. That's interesting. Let's find out what kind of lenses they would be using. Within a few decades, the reflecting telescope was invented, which used mirrors. Oh, now we're using mirrors too? Let's look into the mirrors that we're using. A reflecting telescope, also called a reflector, is an optical telescope which uses a single or combination of curved mirrors that reflect light to form an image. Interesting. So the image isn't really there. It's collecting light, then it's forming the image for me. The reflecting telescope was invented in the 17th century as an alternative to the refracting telescope, which at the time was a design that suffered from severe chromatic aberration. Reflecting telescopes produce other types of optical aberrations. Wait, they do? What kind of aberrations are they making? What's going on? A convex mirror, fish-eye mirror, or diverging mirror is a curved mirror in which the reflective surface bulges towards the light source. It bulges towards the light source. Convex mirrors reflect light outwards. Therefore, they are not used to focus light. Such mirrors always form a virtual image, since the focal point and the center of curvature are both imaginary points inside the mirror. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? These are created spherical items in the sky. Think of since the beginning of creation, since the very first man ever walked the earth, every single person looked up in the sky and saw stars. Not one of them looked up there and said, "Oh, those are spheres." Not one. Till Galileo came along with his little device, and science got on the back and said, "Oh, let's get rid of the creator. Let's worship the devil. Let's convince everybody that science is cool." It's not cool. It's bullshit.
For a couple $1,000 or something. We could even look at the moon and the moon cycles, which is caused by light from the sun reflecting off the spherical object of the moon, and you can test this yourself with a golf ball, shining it in a light, and you can see that this is indeed a sphere you're looking at when it comes to the moon. And a lot of the flat earthers will say it's a disk, and you can disprove that by placing a disk in a light as well. And, you can't get those same curved shadows that you see on the moon.
I honestly wish that everything was as cut and dry as this guy thinks it is, because it's not that easy. We can think that the sun projects its light onto the moon, and that's the light that we see, but then explain all these things. Why is the sun shadow? When you're in the shadow of the sun, it's cooler, but when you're in the shadow of the moon, it's warmer. How come when you magnify the sunlight, it'll increase the temperature of a thermometer, but when you magnify the light of the moon, it doesn't increase the temperature at all? How about the fact that the sun's light is warm, drying, and it preserves? It is an antiseptic, and its animal and vegetable substances become putrid in its light. Grapes or fruits become dried and candied. Yet the moonlight is damp, cold, and septic. Animal and vegetable substances show symptoms of putrefaction. You could also take a look at the effects of the sun and the moon on fires. The sun kills or extinguishes fires, where the moon can just increase and make the fire more vivid.
Now, all that being said, simple logic allows us to assume that if all the other planets, which also have moons, if everything else in the sky is a sphere, why wouldn't the Earth be?
I mean, it's just such simple logic. We know that all cats are animals, so logically all animals are cats. This is logic, folks. 100% proven right here and now. We don't need to debate this.
I mean, it's totally illogical. How does that make any sense? It doesn't, folks. Now, another thing we need to take into consideration is the Coriolis effect.
Speaking of things that make no sense, please explain this Coriolis effect.
This indeed proves that we are on a spinning structure, and there is no debating this, because snipers, for instance, and you can ask any sniper in the military, you don't have to go to a NASA website to figure this one out. They have to take into account the Coriolis effect when engaging in a long distance sniper shot, okay? And if they don't, they miss, okay? And this is 100% not debatable.
Yeah, you guys don't even need to do anything crazy. Like, go to a NASA website to get this answer. All you have to do is find a sniper in the military, go to his base, find him, and convince him to have a conversation with you about exactly what goes through his mind before he shoots somebody in the head.
And I even personally know guys that were in the Marines that can tell you that this is indeed a fact.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
If you do make a retraction video, please, can we get each of those friends of yours to go ahead and tell us that story?
All right, the Coriolis effect, you have to take it into consideration. And this is also why we see hurricanes and storm systems spinning in two different directions on each side of the globe, of each hemisphere of the globe. And this is why snipers have to take into consideration the location they are on the planet when factoring in the Coriolis effect, because it's different on different ends of the planet.
Oh, the Coriolis effect. This is just another tiny little force that never even actually shows itself until someone questions the great spinning ball. Then here comes Mr. Coriolis. Hey kids, remember me when I taught you that water goes down the drain the opposite direction in the southern hemisphere? Ha! We were just joking. But now there is some guys down in Ecuador that will gladly take your money and show you a demonstration on how curved pottery can affect the flow of water. And here's my hat. If you want to leave me a little tip, I would really love it. I mean, yeah, I'm fictitious, that's true. I make no sense, and I apply only to things in the air, on Earth, but not heavy things like airplanes or anything, just wind and rain. Oh, I'm a mysterious force indeed, but when you need me, I'll be there. Yep, that's the Coriolis effect. Long-winded, incomprehensible, and ready for your any need. I'm going to read this here. This is right out of Wikipedia, word for word. Because the Earth completes only one rotation per day, the Coriolis force is quite small, and its effects generally become noticeable only for motions occurring over large distances and long periods of time, such as large-scale movements of air in the atmosphere or water in the ocean. Such motions are constrained by the surface of the Earth, so only the horizontal component of the Coriolis force is generally important. This force causes moving objects on the surface of the Earth to be deflected to the right with respect to the direction of travel in the northern hemisphere and to the left in the southern hemisphere. This makes no sense. There you see the ball Earth. There you see the Coriolis effect. Items from the equator shooting north would veer to the right. Items from the equator going south would veer to the left, or, from that person's perspective, to the right. Now you see up high and north. If we're looking down, that item's also going to veer to the right. Whereas if you're in the south looking north, that item would also veer to the right. So what is the Coriolis effect? How does it work? Who knows? But he made a pretty good point about sniper rifles. So let's check out if that is true, or if we can just add this to the list of nonsense that is getting quite packed. I got this from a little website where the world record holder, the one who holds the record for making a 2,700-yard rifle shot, is giving some hints on some shooting tips for how to shoot long range. And he talks about a ton of things, a paragraph on ammunition, a paragraph on scope elevation, on accuracy, on wind condition, on angle, on everything you can imagine. And then in the very last paragraph, he says there's some other little things that you need to take into account. But he says, in most cases, I suspect that snipers make their best guess and shoot. Less understood and less predictable is the Coriolis effect. This is not an aerodynamic effect, but the slight pull of the Earth's rotation on a bullet, pulling it a tiny bit right or left. Seldom considered by riflemen, because it's only a concern at long ranges. This deviation varies according to where the shooter is located, and the direction of his fire. It's greatest at the poles and least at the equator, and the closer a shooter is to firing directly east or west, he can minimize its impact. However, again, calculating the effect requires a ballistic computer, and I suspect any sniper would just make their best guess and take their best shot.
Next, let's talk about this theory that you can't see curvature, okay? The flat earthers will always say you can never see curvature. This proves that the Earth is flat. Actually, it just proves how small we are in comparison to the Earth. It can be compared to a bacteria existing on a 40-meter diameter boulder, okay? Now, from the visual perspective of that bacteria, it may appear that you're on a flat surface because the curvature is so insignificant from your perspective. It may indeed appear flat, okay? And even that as a piece of evidence in the first place is completely rendered inert because depending on where you are on the planet, there's actually certain instances where you would see a concave if you were in a large valley compared to if you're looking at a very subtle hill in the distance. It may appear to be curved even on a flat Earth. So how does that even make any sense to cite that as any kind of evidence in the first place?
Oh, you're so right. I mean, what are we doing measuring things that we can actually see? I mean, bacteria are pretty cool. That's a good, very good comparison. But do they have lasers? Huh? Can they test things with measuring tapes? I mean, can they film the results on their Canon optical zoom digital cameras and then upload the results to BacteriaTube? If not, your comparison is crap. We can measure things. We can test the curvature. That's what we're doing. We're not just believing in Science Claus and his elves making globes in the workshop. That's a checkmate, humans.
And I'll also hear a lot of these flat earthers bring up the fact that even when you shoot a rocket into the air and film it, that you can't see curvature. Well, that's because the atmosphere goes up so very little compared to the gigantic nature of the globe that even if you were a bacteria and you raise a millimeter off that 40-meter boulder, well, it's still going to appear the same. You're not going to see much curvature in that case either. So that's what you're seeing there, even if you don't apparently see curvature. It's something that truly amazes me, this whole flat Earth phenomenon that's blowing up, this theory that's just exploded in the alternative research community, because a lot of these researchers they don't cite anybody with a background in meteorology or physics or mechanical engineering or anything like that.
Hold on, wait a second. Are you saying that in order to challenge science and physics and all their strongly held beliefs, that you want us to use the scientists and the physicists and all their data in order to convince the world that... I'm so lost. I mean, do you go into a drug test smoking a joint? Do you buy a pregnancy test when your water breaks? I mean, come on, would you use clear video footage of you robbing a liquor store as evidence of your innocence? This is nonsense. Think.
And you don't have to be an employee of NASA. You don't have to be, working for the New World Order to disprove these theories as a mechanical engineer or as a physicist or as a meteorologist. Okay, these are common sense things. Look, just because NASA lies doesn't mean we have to throw out all logic, all knowledge, all scientific trains of thought. This is a de-evolution, okay? Flat Earth. And here's the thing, I think it's a very, very sinister government COINTELPRO operation. I really do. Because they want to devolve our progress, our human progress, our knowledge, right? Along with basically trying to demonize us. That's one of the agendas as well. I was reading an article the other day that actually compared flat earthers to climate change skeptics. This is what they're going to be preparing to roll out. Okay? We've already been seeing the climate change propaganda
take my rocket
ramped
show
up the past 6 months or so, and it just so happens to coincide with this flat Earth theory exploding. And of course, so many of the flat Earthers are indeed climate change skeptics as well. So it makes it very easy for the mainstream media to associate one with the other, therefore decrediting the climate change skeptics. And folks, the Earth isn't flat, okay? The Earth is a globe, all right? Like, we need to understand that not every single thing you've ever been taught is a lie. So much of it is when it comes to socioeconomic perspectives, and when it comes to a lot of this brainwashing in certain aspects of the New World Order, like the medical industry, the finance industry, Hollywood, entertainment industry, all this, right? Very, very controlled, of course, but over the years, even amateur scientists, amateur engineers, amateur astronomers have been able to progress humanity.
Take
okay?
my money.
This is something
Take
that
my knowledge.
is, you know,
Take
it's
my
like a
planet
complete
Mars.
lack of faith in humanity. This
Here's
flat
the
Earth
moon
thing. As
rock
if, give me a break, okay?
Aldrin
Give us a
gave
little more
me.
credit as human
He's
beings.
my top
You know?
superstar.
I mean, I could go on forever
Spinning ball
disproving
is
this.
my
I really could. I could keep going and
world.
going and going. But I'll just leave some links in the
Flatters,
description below,
please.
further proving what I'm saying here. Okay?
Don't take the globe.
And you know, that's it. And this is something we need to speak out against, because I'm seeing people I genuinely respect starting to buy into this, and it's very easily disprovable. See, what the thing is, people don't try to see what actually debunks the flat Earth. They just look into flat Earth. It kind of makes sense, so they buy into it, and they don't see what other alternative information there is to debunk it. Once you look into both theories, the globe Earth and the flat Earth, it's very obvious that well, the Earth is a globe. What can I say? So let me know what you guys think. It's been Press Reset. Keep your head up. Peace.
So what can I say, guys? Obviously, he is not really in touch with reality. And I do apologize for my singing. If you couldn't tell, that was me. It was not Tim McGraw, as you might have thought. Tried to get him, but he was too expensive. Anyway, I made a little report card here for Press Reset Radio, which should have pressed reset whenever the day was that he made this video. And I gave him, on the moon view, a D. Sphere planets, a D. Coriolis effect, a D. Curvature view from the Earth, an F. I still don't understand the comparing us to bacteria. Makes no sense. Was he unbiased? Gave him a D. Truthful? I gave him a D. So his grade point average is 0.83. He will not be playing sports or going to any of the school dances, and that includes winter ball. I know he had his heart set on it, but he's just not putting forth the effort that I need to see. So press reset. I don't know what you can do besides press delete on this video. It was really poor effort on your part. You're going to have to talk to those scientists and those physicists and get some more facts to bring, because you guys are running out of any evidence. Show me the curvature. Show me the measurement. And hopefully you learned what irrefutable proof means and what it doesn't mean today. For all my watchers, all my viewers, you're going to hate me because I have homework for you. I know, I'm a jerk. No, I think this is really important. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you are really interested in understanding this whole deception, what's going on, all I want you to do is read 3 Wikipedia pages, top to bottom. Coriolis effect, mathematics, and gravity. They will show you exactly what's going on, and there will be no way by the end of it you'll understand anything, because they just kind of throw everything in there so that anytime they need their go-to card, it's right there for them. It's all nonsense. It's all crap. It's all conjecture. It's all lies. Open your mind, guys. There's truth inside. Treat others better than you treat yourself. Till next time, this is Jeranism. Peace.